Trustees regular meeting Wednesday, August 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Would we all please rise and pay respects to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Noting of the roll, please.
Noted, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. Moving on. Item number 5, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Any questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6, public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on items that are not on the agenda? Brian.
Good evening, Brian Cloutier, Director, Oxford Public Library. Just wanted to share with you that it was a busy day at the library today. We wrapped up our summer reading program today, and we had 700 kids sign up for summer reading this year, along with 24 teens and 84 adults, so it was a very good year. I'm going to take off my library hat for just a moment and say that I was able to look at the pocket park that you have right out here in front of the building, and I want to thank CJ for putting all that together. As a trustee on the Fort County Community Foundation, I'm glad that we could be a part of that in this community, and it's a wonderful asset. So thank you for all that you do.
Any other members of the public that would like to speak on items that are not on the agenda? I got time for you. Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward with the Board of Trustee comments. Pardon me?
Is Mr. Schreiber speak now or later?
I'm going to introduce him. I'm going to start first because I invited our state representative, Josh Schreiber, to come and see what Oxford's all about and give us an update on things going on in the state that may partake or pertain to Oxford itself. So, Representative Schreiber, you want to come on up, and if the board has some questions, feel free, we'll ask them, but this is my time for Board of Trustee comments. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to let you guys know that one thing that I'm working hard on is repealing the Certificate of Need Commission. The local government, the people, and hospitals want a hospital here, and that's something that I believe we should be able to have. It's a challenging uphill battle. I've currently drafted legislation to repeal the commission itself, but I'm also working on repealing the 27 laws that require the commission to exist. There's no sense in repealing the commission if we then have to abide by the 27 laws that would require the commission to exist. And this is something that isn't necessarily unique for Michigan. It's one of 35 states with this law that really requires there to be really a lot of hoops to jump through in order for a hospital to be built. And I think it's pretty sickening that this exists here, and I'm doing everything that I can to fight for Oxford to receive what it needs here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Catherine, John, Joe, Rod?
Sure, always good. In addition to the hospital, what are some things that you see that are pertinent to Oxford that are going on in Lansing?
Well, the big ticket that was up, or going to be up in June, was the gravel pit situation. Are we going to put that in the hands of the state, or are we going to put that in the hands of the local municipalities? And that's something that I am in favor of having in the hands of the local municipalities, similar to if you wanted to build a hospital. It's all in the name of local control. And so that's something that I know is bubbling up and might be before us in the fall, but that is yet to be seen. One thing that I tell people, and that really doesn't get out too much, is that the agenda, we don't get the agenda, I don't know when you guys get the agenda, but we get the agenda here in Lansing for each week on Monday night at 7 o'clock, and then we're voting on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's 20 to 50 bills. And that's politics, but we've adjusted. I'm one out of a few out of 110 that reports every single vote I make and why. Only 2 out of 110 did that last session. And I post that all on my website. I'm as transparent as can be. I've given you all my information. Feel free to reach out, and I'll also leave some cards on the back for those of you who are in attendance to also reach out to me if you have any questions for me.
Is that it? Curtis, do you have any questions?
Just back on the CON, defunking the CON, how much support do you have from the other side of the aisle?
That's a question that I was asked earlier. It's a very challenging environment for numerous reasons. Obviously, politics plays a big part, and the legislation currently isn't in committee yet, and so it is yet to be seen as far as the support. But it seems like a no-brainer in terms of giving control to local communities. There's many states that function fine without these laws, and so that's something that I can continue to report with you on.
Yeah, Supervisor Curtis has been instrumental trying to pound a common sense point home to the people up there who don't seem to want to listen to it.
Yeah, we linked up in Lansing this past winter. I actually had to go to a meeting, so I was there for about an hour and a half. I wasn't able to make a comment, but Mr. Curtis forwarded my comments, and so I'm standing with him in that strongly.
I appreciate your effort on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Representative Shriver? Well, Josh, thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to, if you got things to do, to go, but we welcome you to stay.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start with Board of Trustee comments down on the right. Trustee Colvin?
Oh, okay. Just to let people know, there's 2 more concerts in the park, one tomorrow and then one next week, and then we're gonna be done for the season. Also, the GDA is sponsoring a tailgate party for the first time for the game, the high school football game between Oxford and Lake Orion, or Lower Oxford, as some colleagues like to say. The game's in Lake Orion this year, but in Washington Square we're going to set up so people can view it, and there'll be entertainment and a bunch of stuff there on that day. So people come out and can support Oxford in Washington Square if they can't get down to Lake Orion. So I think that's it.
Okay, Trustee Payne?
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Noel?
Yes, appreciate Josh Shriver for coming in, spending the time to come talk to us and fill us in. It was very informational. I look forward for his support in Lansing. I talked last week about the sea of asphalt being replaced at our Myers and our Taco Bell. That's underway, and it'll be very nice to get that parking lot back to manageable efforts.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Almost set.
Trustee Charles?
You're gonna skip over this guy?
Well, I'm gonna come back this way to the best.
Okay, all right. Catherine's okay if I tag a little bit about DDA?
Sure.
Just, like you mentioned, we're doing the tailgate because the game against Orion is on September 8th. And we're gonna have the trolley running there too if you wanna ride down there. And the Washington Square, we talked about today at a meeting, by the way,
Oh, okay.
about having the game live streamed in Washington Square, if we can put it together and get everything set up with cameras, all that kind of good stuff. If you get a chance to get downtown and behind where NAPS is, that area where the school board is, you can see some of the fruits of our labors with the repaving we've done there. It looks really, really attractive. So we've done some really cool things. So we've got more going in the southeast quadrant coming up in probably October. And one other thing, Oxford has some youth, we've taken the summer off for the youth assistance group that I'm on, and we're starting again the 22nd of August to meet, get that thing going.
Thank you, sir. Clerk Wright?
Yes, the office staff has been super busy. I'm talking the hall office. up in the clerk's department, stuff the permanent absent voter ballot list. I don't call it a letter, but it's a sheet that looks like this. It will be coming to a mailbox near you if you're a registered voter of Oxford Township, wanting to know if you want an absent voter ballot going forward. So if you return this document to us, you will receive an absent voter ballot in all future elections. You will not need to, this is basically your application that you want an absent voter ballot. So that's basically a one and done item. There's over 17,000 of these that will be stuffed and mailed out to the Oxford voters that are registered here. So once you get this information in the mail, if you have questions, definitely call the clerk's department, notably Susan or Kelly. Their numbers, their extensions are on top of the form itself. So look for that in the mail. So that'll enroll you for all future elections. A couple other items, Supervisor Curtis, I don't know if you might have these on your list, but the parking lot is scheduled to be paved on the 15th of August out here. So there will be some alternate parking arrangements for the staff and for residents and business for that. Also this Friday, Parks and Rec's having their celebration with the fire department and the police department. They're celebrating them as servants of the community. The fireworks to follow at 9:30. And my last item is that on Saturday, we're gonna have the dedication of the Helen Smith Pocket Park out here. So that starts at 10 o'clock, I believe. So a well done job by Communication and Grants Manager CJ Carnacchio. And it's been used quite a bit from what I can tell. Those are my comments, sir.
Okay. Well, my biggest comment is, you notice there was a revised agenda, there was a revised packet, there was a lot of commotion going on. We did the budget, we were stuffing, I thought it was 18,000 envelopes.
It's like 17,896.
Yeah, that's pretty close to 18,000.
So he's
I know
exaggerating.
it had to be done and everybody jumped up on it. Thank you, Danielle, for getting all this going on the budget. And CJ, the Oxford Township Sheriff and Fire Department, a recognition day will be a success based on everything we put together with the food trucks and the fireworks. And I think the Sheriff's Department, who serves our township, and the Fire Department will be recognized there with their displays along with some local food truck cuisine. So that's good. Okay, with that, we'll go into item number 8. Budget, public hearing, truth in budgeting. The property tax millage rate proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget will be the subject of this hearing.
I move to open the truth in budgeting public hearing at 6:43 p.m. to discuss the property tax millage rates proposed to be levied to support the proposed budgets for the following: 2024 General Fund 101 budget, 2024 Fire Department Operations 206 budget, 2024 Police Contracting 207 budget, and 2024 Parks and Recreation 208 budget.
Second.
Motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
And Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Okay, the public hearing is open. Is there any members of the public that would like to speak on the property tax millage rates proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget? Sir, step up to the mic if you would. Identify yourself and
Okay, my name's Jim McNally. I live on Maloney Lane, southeastern part of Oxford. I read that in the Oxford Leader that you're having a meeting today. I was wondering what is going to be the increases for each one of those 4?
That's what?
you increase taxes?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it said. It's going to, looks like it's going to appear on the next election that there's going to be an increase on the millage.
Okay,
So we
normally
have to
in a
have
public
like-
hearing, we just take the comments, but
Okay.
this is okay. We're talking about the millage rate for 2024 budget. So there is no increase projected for our 2024 budget. Those millage rates have already been set
Okay,
in 2020, and with the Headley reduction, it's been going down 8% each year. There's no millages on this budget increasing the taxes.
okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak in the public hearing on the property tax millage rates? Seeing none,
I move to close the Truth and Budgeting public hearing at 6:45 PM. Discuss the property tax millage rates proposed to be levied to support the proposed budgets for the following: 2024 General Fund 101 budget, 2024 Fire Department Operations 206 budget, 2024 Police Contracting 207 budget, and 2024 Parks Recreation 208 budget.
Second.
oh, I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari. I'm going to give this one to Trustee Charles. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay, item number 9, Fire Department. Chief, do you have anything tonight?
The only, as far as, are we still on the budget part, or are we on?
No, we're on
next?
your part.
In that case, yes. Separate sheets, want to keep organized, that's all.
Yes, sir.
We are in contact with Attorney Deja from the Kelly firm. We are working on a fee structure to make our inspection and plan review stuff more in line. We had a really good conference with them today, and they're putting some stuff together. We're looking at a rework of some of the fire ordinance regarding the open burning stuff and the permitting, so that we can make that a little more streamlined and more up to date with some online access that we're hoping to be able to do with that. So they're working on that for us. And then they're also working on an issue we have with a subdivision that has let go its water supply fire hydrant that we've talked about in the past. So that has now been taken over by an HOA rather than builder, and so we're going to be pursuing getting that fixed as best we can. And then, that recent storm that we had with all the hail, we did take pretty significant damage to both fire stations, everybody's personal vehicles, and the 2 vehicles we had parked outside. So we have placed the claim in with our insurance, and it looks really bad. So, but insurance, it looks like it's gonna be covering everything. We'll get away with about a $2,500 deductible. We may end up with 2 new roofs and multiple doors and downspouts. Possibly the HVAC unit was damaged. So we're waiting on a final report, but there's significant damage that resulted from the hail that we got that day of that storm. So just might be able to reduce my budget a little. Little act of God kind of stepped in, might have us some savings there on stuff we had planned out in our plan anyhow, in our capital improvement plan. We may be able to eliminate the roofing. So, but other than that, I think that's all I've got.
Is there anything this board can do for the fire department this time?
No, I think we're taking care of some people, and that's a big thing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Charles.
I don't understand the HOA fire hydrant issue there on the builder. And it's just lack of my knowledge, so if you can explain that a little bit, please.
The subdivision in question was required to put in a tank with a dry hydrant to be able to build the sub as far back off the road. It goes almost a mile off the road, off of a main road where we have water, and that was part of it's through the ordinance. And the builder allowed it to break, or it broke and they did not fix it. And then he turned it over to the HOA because it's pretty much built out. And so we still need water there though. And it is still a requirement for that subdivision, like all the subdivisions that are that far off the road, and when the new stuff anyhow, so it needs to be back in place so that, because it will affect their insurance rates considerably through the ISO ratings if there is no water available for the neighborhood. So that is being looked at.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Clerk Wright.
Yeah, the changes that you're doing with Attorney Vasquez, is that going to be ordinance amendments?
There might be one regarding the change to the burning permit stuff. But it seems like, and I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not an attorney, but in instituting the fee schedule for the inspections and plan reviews may just be a board approval type of item.
Resolution.
Yeah, so,
If I may, what's the fee to read the prints of a Taco Bell?
$25.
What's the fee to read the prints for McLaren Hospital?
$25.
Okay. How many pages on the McLaren Hospital? Emergency room?
Oh,
400?
Oh, it's thick.
Yes.
You know, and quite often, most communities will have it, the plan review itself will be based off of the number of, say, sprinkler heads in the suppression system, and the number of duct detectors in the HVAC system, and things of that nature. So it gets pretty drawn out, right? And ours, we don't have any of that. So a plan that might take the fire marshal and the inspector a week or two to review, we get $25. And Taco Bell, which took, you know, one person maybe an hour, we get $25.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely in need of a change.
Looking at.
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions?
And even with that, the fee doesn't get crazy, right? It's
To compensate time it takes to
Exactly.
do it.
but it still doesn't get up there. I think the highest fee gets up into around $250.
Yeah, a couple of tacos.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Sharp Engineering Report. Board members, we have Engineer Sharp here tonight. Are there any questions from his report? You'll gladly address them?
I would just like to say that I love these reports. I think they're very concise and just tell us a lot, and they do exactly what they're supposed to. I think they're great reports, so thank you, Engineer Sharp.
Thank you.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, I like it too, and I showed some other people to say what's going on in the township. But I do have a separate question.
Yes, sir.
A little bit on Brad Dewey, just a little bit of what's going on there.
With the Brad Dewey, the sanitary sewer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just in the design process. The survey work has been completed in there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. This is in anticipation, might be another special assessment. There might be some additional dollars that are coming from other sources, not quite sure. But once the sewer line along M24 gets installed in front of the Meyer and up to Dunlap Road, then this would be the next phase of that to try to get those properties in the Brad Dewey area onto sewer because their septics are old, not in good condition. I've heard lots of rumors. I'm not the health department here, but basically to get that area sewered.
Is there a timeline, Jim?
We do have a timeline. It was just updated today. It all hinges on getting our 18-inch sewer line up to Dunlap Road. And as early as, a week ago, we finally broke through the MDOT barrier. And it took us almost 9 months to get the permit to bore under M24. And I mean, I was not my assertive, kind self. It was skullduggery, trickery to get it done. Happenstance, the director MDOT answered the phone, and we worked all the way backwards into the permitting. It was 9 months, so that's how far we are behind on our SAD sewer to the sanitary north.
Sounds like the same people that do the hospital, huh?
Worse, it's MDOT.
Same kind of people.
Yes. Any other questions for Engineer Sharp?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, item 11, unfinished business. American Rescue Plan Act Fund Update Recommendation. The ARPA Committee, who wants to take this?
I'll take it. Our ARPA committee, we weren't meeting until the 9th, or the 7th, which was 2 days ago, so there wasn't information in the packet, but we did meet on Monday the 7th. Unfortunately, Trustee Noel was not able to make it. Trustee Payne and myself took $673,000 into the meeting, and we came out with $25,000 left with recommendations. So what we did is we allocated monies to projects. One of them was the balance of the railroad safety path project. So we were proposing $332,860 for that. Another one that we finalized out was contributing monies of $180,000 to the Brad Dewey subdivision for future sanitary sewer project, because that's going to be a very expensive project, and that would give us basically 3+ years to allocate those funds. Another project that we allocated monies for recommending is audio-visual upgrades in this room here. We don't know what they're going to cost, but we did recommend $70,000, which may be more than enough for it, but it just gives a little leeway. If we need to improve anything else in this room, if the board's in favor of that. We also decided to allocate $50,000 to the Oxford Public Library for a backup generator. What we want basically is for that monies to be allocated for that generator to become a warming and cooling center if it's not that facility already, and also to become part of the Oxford Township Support Emergency Operations Plan, which the other facilities have signed off on, the fire department, the township, parks and recreation. So that would be an asset for the community for that. And then finally, we recommended $15,000 of funding to go toward the Helen Smith Park for a drinking fountain. And that would include also the inflow and the outflow water lines to get it from the building out to the park, and also with the discharge of the water to be going into the storm sewer line. So I guess what I'll do now is Trustee Payne or Trustee Noel, if you have anything further to add to that. What I did do is pass out a recommended motion for those funding, if that's something the board's inclined to want to follow along with that motion.
I move to allocate Oxford Township American Rescue Plan Act funds for the following: $332,860 for the Railroad Safety Path Project, $180,000 for the Brad Dewey Subdivision Future Sanitary Sewer Project, $70,000 for audio and visual upgrades for the Oxford Township Board meeting room, $15,000 for installation of a drinking fountain at Helen Smith Park, including the inflow water line and the outflow water line, and a $50,000 contribution to the Oxford Public Library for a backup generator, with the requirement that the Oxford Public Library become a warming and cooling center, and Oxford Public Library becomes part of the Oxford Township Support Emergency Operations Plan. These contributions are subject to review by the Kelly Law Firm, the current firm that are permissible use of American Rescue Plan Act funds, and include any documents necessary to allocate the funds.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari. I have a second by Trustee Noel. Are there any questions?
Here's a quick one here.
Yes, sir.
$15,000 for the water line out there. Is that going to be done before or after the parking lot?
It's going to be it'll be done afterwards, but we're making preparations for it by putting a 4-inch conduit underneath the parking lot so we can put the water line through it.
Okay, so we don't have to dig it up in here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no other questions, roll call.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Clerk Wright. Yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
And Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Okay, 11B, Critical Infrastructure Grant, Interlocal Agreement Amendment 1, CJ Carnacchio.
Good evening, board members. Last year, we received a $100,000 grant from Oakland County, which is helping to pay for the design work related to the 18-inch sewer line along the east side of M24 and the sewer lines that will be built eventually under the Brad Dewey subdivision. Last year in August, you guys approved an interlocal agreement, which we sent in. Recently, Oakland County has requested an amendment to that agreement, which is enclosed in your packet, along with a letter from their attorney explaining the reason. Basically, it's just reducing the reporting requirements to make them less cumbersome, because the money from this grant was AARP money, or ARPA money that was given to, that was given to Oakland County. So basically, it's pretty standard stuff, so.
I move to approve the Amendment 1 to the Agreement for Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Distribution between Oakland County as presented, and authorize, in Oxford Township, and authorize Supervisor Jack Curtis to sign the agreement amendment on behalf of the Charter Township of Oxford.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Item 12A, under new business. Oak Ridge Road and Oak Ridge Court Special Assessment District request. Hi, Brittany. Jim Porritt just sent an email yesterday stating he got back from his trip and he is COVIDized. He has COVID and he cannot be here tonight. So board members, I'm going to talk for Jim. Jim is a resident representing homeowners that reside on Oak Ridge Drive and Oak Ridge Court, and is scheduled to address. He was scheduled to address the Township Board regard to establishing a special assessment district for paving Oak Ridge Road and Oak Ridge Court. I'm going to have Attorney Ellis speak, summarizing what we can do that's asked out of the ordinary, has never been asked before, but is legal.
It is legal. So in the past, this township has assessed private road SADs on a per lineal foot frontage basis, meaning that each parcel was assessed based on the lineal frontage they have on that private road. The ask here is that the board consider assessing it on a per parcel basis. The reason being, this subdivision has very irregularly shaped parcels, and it would be more equitable to assess it that way. You are allowed, the township is allowed to make the determination to assess it in that manner under state law. I've issued an opinion to that effect. The analysis being whether the way that it's assessed is directly related to the benefit received by each parcel. So that's a consideration for the board tonight. You're not approving an SAD tonight, but basically this resident, before he goes out and gets all these signatures to submit a petition, he wants to know if there's board support to assess an SAD on a per lot basis, rather than the way that all private roads generally in the township have been assessed, which is on a lineal foot basis.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Is this precedent setting, or does that not matter? If I want to get one on Street X, can I go either route now?
That's a good question. So a petition can be submitted to the board requesting them to assess either way. It's ultimately up to the board to determine what is the most equitable way to assess the SAD. And if it happens to be on a per lot basis, that's within the board's discretion. If it happens to be based on a lineal frontage basis, that's also within the board's discretion, and that should be considered on a case-by-case basis.
Wouldn't the proof be as if you're going to sign it or not? Let's say everybody's a 50-foot lot. The Sheldon's 2 acres. He's like, well, I don't want to pay for a 50-foot lot. Wouldn't you think the other folks probably wouldn't sign that?
That's likely.
Okay.
And that's why the motion you've been provided asks that Mr. Port obtain a petition so that the residents within the subdivision are basically telling the board that they're on notice that they will be assessed on a per lot basis.
Trustee Charles.
So I think it was about a year and a half ago the state legislature changed that, if my memory's correct. A year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. It's relatively new. Just on the protocol this year, I don't understand why the township would make the decision on linear versus per parcel. I thought that'd be the homeowners would be doing that.
So by statute, the township determines how an SAD will be assessed. And you may recall, I don't know how often you get private road SADs, but if you've seen them recently, there's a couple resolutions that get passed. And one of the resolutions that will come before the board is essentially to approve the special assessment roll. And that's when you determine, how the SAD will be assessed.
Now, there's 2 steps in that process. Mr. Wright is probably our resident expert as far as I know. But my understanding, the first step is to residents, let's say on the street here, say, are they interested in doing it? And the second would be getting the approval to pay for it.
Correct.
At what step would those residents then approach the township?
You receive the petition before it ever comes before the board for your first resolution to approve the project and the project cost.
But the homeowners would want to do this at the first or second step.
They would submit the petition before it even comes before the board for the first step. The board, what would kick off the SAD process is the receipt of a petition from these property owners. So that step hasn't occurred here yet, so their attorney saying, hey, before we waste time getting petition signatures, is the board even interested in accepting a petition that will assess it on a different basis than they've used in the past.
And I'm sorry to be redundant, I'm just trying to clarify.
No,
Because I've talked with the county a few times about SADs and things for streets and road improvement. And I was told that, or I had the impression, that a homeowner could go petition their neighbors, wherever that district's going to be, an informal, non-binding letter saying, are you interested? And then the county comes out and gives a cost estimate. Then the second step would be going to the township and saying, is this copacetic or not?
we're not there yet. That's correct. They have not even submitted a petition. This attorney's saying, is it even worth our time to submit a petition at this time? Will the board even consider it? Are they interested in assessing lots on or assessing this SAD on a per lot basis? Because otherwise it's not worth it to us, because as a community, and this, again, this is their attorney, you know, they want to be assessed per lot.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Brett, we've had that happen in the Red Barn sub, where they got the petition, everybody was interested, and they came in and they got the costs, and they chose not to go further.
Yeah, I understand that, that's common, but I was wondering what step the procedure would involve making that decision.
Well, the first thing we need to do, and I see there's a couple more questions, is understand this case. This is not a straight street with 50, 60-foot lots. This is a street that goes through multiple times a single person's lot, giving frontage at one lot at 50 foot, one lot at about 3,000 feet. So it just, everybody receives the same benefit, so they're trying to give it the same cost.
I get that, I just wonder what the protocol is.
This is the protocol.
Well,
First,
okay.
we agree to accept a petition if they bring one forward.
Because the county has existing petitions.
Well, this is our rule. This is what we're doing. We're bringing this to us to say, board members, you want to help these residents with this irregular lot? And that's what they did. They came to us. They didn't go to the county. They asked us. Clerk
I
Wright.
think Trustee Noel had his hand up first, so.
Oh, Trustee Noel.
So for my simple mind, they petition us next. The next thing we will see from them is a petition.
Let me pause. If the board decides that it's equitable to assess the subdivision,
Is this a private road or a public road?
it's private.
Clerk Wright.
Yeah, that's one of the things. The county has no involvement here. And one of my other issues is that, are we subject to Article 11 of the zoning ordinance for private roads, and subject to Chapter 42 of the Code of Ordinances for this, on top of the SAD. And also, you have properties coming off Dunlap Road, and you don't know the defined boundary lines, does that Oak Ridge Road touch the west boundary line of one of those properties on Dunlap Road to be part of the SAD? So, and they don't
I don't
even
believe
use,
so.
they don't even use it though. Would it be subject to be,
Doesn't touch properties on Seaboard.
would it be subject to part of the SAD though, because they're property?
Well, your first resolution is to actually set the SAD boundaries, so upon receipt of your petition and then when it comes to the board, that's when you'll know what properties are asking to be included.
Yeah.
But I would expect any properties that receive a benefit from the road, a direct benefit, meaning that some part of their property touches the road, would probably be part of the SAD.
Yeah. So I technically don't have a problem moving forward to assist the people, but I just want to make sure, I'm sure that's where you'll guide us along the way here.
Yep, and there's no obligation of the board to approve the SAD when it comes before you with the petition.
Right. And I know one thing too is that currently we only require $1,500 up front for deposit money in case the SAD falls through at the last second, so the taxpayer then hold the bag on the whole price.
Mhm.
That might be consideration for this board to consider raising that initial fee going forward, because a lot of the costs involved are higher than $1,500 for the attorney and for the engineer to set these boundary lines. Because that, in this case, might eat up the whole $1,500 right up front before it even gets to the board to authorize the first resolution to set a public hearing.
I think Brittany's got another project.
No, that's, I mean,
Well,
that's
Curtis, let me ask you a question. If you run out of that $1,500, what happens?
we either request the applicant to put up more money, or if the board, or we stop work, or if the board is confident they want to move forward on the if-come basis,
There's your
then,
answer.
then we proceed on, considering that this is going to go through the final thing. And also, we have allocated the administrative fees on the first SAD payment on the plan. I believe SADs only, you can only allocate a private road improvement for 5-year SAD, is that correct?
That's accurate.
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, you're looking at,
Should let me
Half a
double
line?
check that. I think it's 5 years, it might be 10 years.
Yeah.
Let me, I don't wanna, I wouldn't, I'll double check that for you.
you know. But I know before the law changed, you're right. We were stuck on the frontage basis, and then when the law changed in 2022, that's what opened the door for the equal basis of everybody shares proportionally.
I move to accept for consideration a future petition for a private road SAD for paving of Oak Ridge Road and Oak Ridge Court, conditioned upon the petition being submitted with express language setting forth that the petitioner's request that the township assess the SAD on a per lot basis and on obtaining the requisition number of signatures to be eligible for consideration of a private road SAD under state law.
Second for comment?
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Your questions?
This is just one simple, this is a private road. What standards are they obligated to work to?
I'd have to ask an engineer.
Yeah, that's an engineering question.
Do we have any concerns?
Private road standards,
Yeah, under your ordinance.
cross sections, you know, all that type of stuff. It's a
Any other questions?
It's a gravel road right now, so it would basically be paved to the township standards. It depends if they wanna, I'm assuming they wanna do it, not improve it as gravel, they want asphalt. So we would have to bring it up to the standards that are outlined on the township's detail sheets.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
And Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Okay, item 12B, reclamation bond for AMC KSG Properties LLC. Board members, you have an attorney-client privilege letter from Attorney Ellis in regard to the reclamation bond in your package and a proposed motion. This bond is for the new owners of Koenig Gravel Pit and the area that they are mining in today. Engineer Sharp prepared the documents of area for proposed mining, and Attorney Ellis has gone through and gotten us a reclamation bond for the property. The amount was $146,200. So I don't know if you have any questions for Attorney Ellis, or I'll look for a motion.
I move to approve the reclamation bond, property owned by AMC-KSG Properties LLC as the form, and approve the cost of the work set forth thereunder as estimated by the township engineer.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Carries. 12C, sewer bill credit for 1060 South Lapeer Road, the Oxford Orion Fish. Board members, the Water Sewer Committee and the Township Board tonight will learn something that we didn't know was available. As our contracted supplier for the water and sewer services in Oxford, the Oakland County Water Resources Commission has a process. If they find someone is overcharged for water, that they can go through the bills and credit the water user for the amount of water used. Now, since we've found that out, last water sewer meeting, we are now included in their process that we are counseled before they tell someone they are eligible for the payment. This is done usually in cases like grandma's toilet overflowed and ran for a month and her water bill went to $800. What happened here was the sprinkler system was damaged, and they ran their sprinklers and ran the water up $1,200–1,400 water bills. In the package, it spells it all out. Unfortunately, in this case, the sewer bill is based on the water. So it's a commercial building, so we charge them for the water they use and then a billable rate for a commercial sewer rate. And what happened is due to an incorrect meter reading, the water usage as deemed by the WRC, they issued a credit for their water. Now we are issuing a sewer account credit for $1,422 because that's how much water was used, but never went through the single toilet they have in the place. So Oxford Orient Fish, I look for a motion of.
I move to credit sewer account number 435-126004 of the property located at 1060 South Lapeer Road, Oxford, Michigan, in the amount of $1,422.07 due to incorrect meter readings for the period of June 27th, 2022 to November 18th, 2022. A detailed summary calculations of the sewer account credit to be attached as appendix to meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari and a second by Trustee Noel. I'll entertain any questions. Yes, sir, Trustee Charles.
Thank you for explaining that, because when I went through this, it seemed kind of murky. So you cleared it up, thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Don't get many kudos, do we?
Well, once in a while.
Any other questions, Trustee? Look, roll call.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Okay, there's two other board members here from Water Sewer. Who wants to take this one? Item 12G, sewer rates increase.
Give them the best.
You know what? My head's always on the plate. Let it go. Board members, Oxford Township is part of the Clinton-Oakland Sewage Disposal System, and I'll call that the system, which is managed by the Great Lakes Water Authority. There are many repairs and upgrades to the system that will be occurring in the near future. Some of these improvements are going to be bonded. Oxford Township is responsible to pay its fair share of future bond payments, which is estimated to be $4.5 million just for the bond principal payment, not including bond interest payment. Attached is a summary of the $4.5 million bonds that will be Oxford Township's responsibility to pay, and a sheet showing additional upcoming project estimated and methods of funding. As you may not be aware, the sewer charge is $86 per REU, residential equivalent unit, per quarter, 3 months. From October 1st to 2013 to March 31st to 2021, the sewer quarterly REU charge was increased to the current $110 on April 1st, 2021. During this period of time, Oxford Township was able to absorb several cost increases and prepay several bond projects, avoiding interest payments. But currently, the sewer fund is not in a financial position to meet these upcoming bond obligations without increasing the REU per quarter charge and meter rate charge. The Oxford Township Water and Sewer Committee analyzed these upcoming projects against current cash flows, current customer base, payment obligations, and to determine the sewer rate increase necessary to pay the proposed future $4.5 million bonds, and the quarterly rate requirement recommendation is $143 per REU and $50.95 per metered unit. Yes, sir, Treasurer Ferrari.
Though I'm not crazy about it, I understand the need, but I'd like to do in our January billing back like we did in April 1 of 2021. Have our grants communications manager do a nice letter to go with all of our sewer bills, explaining to our residents why this is occurring. We did that back in April 2021 and really helped explain to folks that what we decided wasn't just willy-nilly. There was actually a reason why we did it. And I think that'll help basically alleviate any questions. Susan is over there.
Well,
In response to that, it would be better if a letter was sent out, not with the bill.
That's fine.
Because otherwise we have to take a postcard, 4,000 postcards, and fold them to fit in an envelope.
okay.
We can do that too.
It was a recommendation. We'll change that a little bit, but we weren't just gonna throw this on the residents without any explanation.
We put it on the
Okay,
billboard.
Trustee Colvin.
Do we know how long the 4.5 million is going to last? Are we expecting another 4.5 million next year or the year after?
Curtis, I'll let you answer that question.
Well, as of right now, as you see, yeah, the last sheet in your packet shows future bonds and cash reserves. So we just introduced basically 5 of these 12, I believe it is. And we just got in this bottom one 2 days ago, and we estimated $629,000 principal only. The bond is gonna be $778,000. So that rate continues to escalate, and right now, we are looking at the near term of this amount just to cover near-term expenses. And granted, that bond there won't see the principal for 4 years. It's interest until all the money's received, because it's a state revolving loan fund. So once that money is received, then the principal payments will be added to the interest. So it's a escalating expense that's going, it's not coming down. And, you know, we're looking at not only this side of the ledger, but also the county operation and maintenance expenses that keep going up on us as well. And you still have to flush your toilet. So we had to make a hard decision. We didn't want to raise rates any more than we had to, and that's what we did for 8 years. We ate the increases along the way, and now it's caught up with us. We actually, you know, back in the day, we actually dropped the sewer rate in half, gave the community a free service for a quarter of a year, and we didn't really get any thank yous out of that.
You depleted the fund by $5 million. And this is exactly what's happening now. This fund is built through development and growth and a charge on the sewer bill. And those monies are encapsulated into an account that we fund, an enterprise fund for sewer only. And these projected bonds out in 25, 26, 27 could increase your sewer bill over the next 2 years to about $200 a quarter, just to keep up with the work that they're doing. We're at the top of the flow. We get to pay for everything right to Connor Street. Trustee, any more questions? Yes, sir, Treasurer Ferrari.
I move that effective January 1, 2024, the quarterly sewer billing rate will increase to $143 per residential equivalent unit from the current $110 quarterly rate, and the meter sewer rate will increase to $50.95 per quarter per 1,000 cubic feet from the current $39.19 rate. Oxford Township also sent out a separate mailing prior to the January 1, 2024 increase, explaining to our sewer customers why this increase is necessary.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Clerk Wright. Okay, questions, concerns? Roll call.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Knowles?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. And Supervisor Curtis?
Yes. Thank you, Treasurer Ferrari. That was not an easy motion to read. Not that you support your sewer bill going up, but it's still not a good thing. It's just keeping up with the times. Okay, item 12E, purchasing of furniture for Township conference room. The capital improvement team has been meeting and putting some items on the agenda. One was the parking lot. We're going to start that next week. This is the conference room table and the chairs in the conference room. As you're well aware, I've torn my pants twice in there, and those are all the chairs from the Township Hall that are broken. Anybody's chair that's broken in here, we're sitting in it trying to hold a meeting.
Yeah, that's all.
It's a little embarrassing. Are there any questions?
I move to authorize Supervisor Curtis to purchase one conference room table that can seat 10 and 15 chairs to the Township Conference Room, amount not to exceed $25,000. This purchase is to be expensed from account 101-265-976.000, additions and improvements.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
And Trustee Noel.
Yes, twice.
Oh,
Yes,
all right.
twice.
Trustee Payne, how about you?
For the sake of my sweaters, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so amicable. We've made so many mistakes this past week. None have injured or caused any monetary depletion. Item 12F, budgets, general fund. Board members, we had our special meeting and we went through the budgets ad nauseum, and we had some questions, we made some changes. We elected not to make some changes based on inputs, based on other commissions going through these budgets and having their commission's approval, and based on considerations of contingency funds and such. Item I, general fund. Any questions?
Already did it.
Okay. 204, road fund, any questions? 3, fire department operations, 206. Any questions? Police contracting fund, 207. I will say, board members, we met with Attorney Ellis, with Under Sheriff Childs, Major Wondrak, Captain Bart Wilson, Lieutenant Patterson, attorneys for the county, and we are working on the millage proposal for 2024 police. We are not there. We are also working on the 24 and beyond contract, so we are working diligently on that. Parks and Recreation, 208. Seeing none. 209, Cemetery Fund. No questions. 239, Telecommunications Fund. Any questions? Seeing none. 249, Building Department. Any questions? Seeing none. Cable Fund, it was not there. Safety Path Fund, 297. Seeing none, and that's it. So we will submit those budgets to the next meeting for approval.
Nice job, thank you.
Thank you, Danielle, Susan, Curtis, Joe, everybody that's worked on these. Item 13, items removed from the consent agenda for action or discussion. Seeing none. Item 14, another call to the public. Public have any comment to be made on items not on the agenda or on the agenda? Come on up, Brian.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I know y'all want to get out of here, but I just want to thank the folks that sat on the committee for the ARPA funds. I know it's been a long project for you. I appreciate your keeping the library included in that process. In terms of the commitments or obligations, or however you want to word it, that you are placing on these funds, I don't see any reason why the library wouldn't agree to those. I think most of those were addressed in the proposal that we sent over to you. So absolutely, we have always considered ourselves part of that critical infrastructure. Perhaps not everyone has, but we have. And certainly, when you're ready to get that information over to my office, I'll be more than happy to make sure that we follow through with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any other members of the public? Seeing none. Item 15, another chance for Board of Trustee comments. We'll start on this end. Trustee Charles?
Thank you for running the meeting in the manner in which you ran it. Appreciate that. Very efficient, very quick, etc. Thank you to our library director for what you said about being part of the community. Appreciate that as well. That's about it.
Clerk Wright?
Yeah, just a final note on our, so far we've allocated funding to 8 different projects, so to speak. So we spread the money around fairly well. And so hopefully these all go through. And we do have a little bit left over, so we will probably meet again to expend the final numbers that we recommend.
Okay.
Expenditure.
I was told today the SROs, the contract will be renewed for our, the school resource officers. They will still have 2 in the school system, and the contract to be signed, and it's an eternity contract, if you will, and they can cancel at the end of the year and elect not to bring it up, but that way we keep our resource officers that we have. That's my comment. Treasurer Ferrari?
I just want to thank the board for considering the 2024 budgets, and we'll be adopting them in September. If you look through each one of the budgets, they're very visionary, having projects we want to get done in 2024, actually putting more money out in the community. I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you, board members.
Trustee Noel?
No comment, thank you.
Trustee Payne?
No comment.
Trustee Colvin?
Thanks everyone for all your hard work.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by, who was it? Was that Trustee Payne? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.